Good afternoon, everybody. So, I was going to do my Irish quilt, but I found that, or should I say, found that I remembered that I can't while my laptop is on my sewing station. So, that'll have to be done off camera. So, I decided the other day when I went to use my stand mixer and I had to clean it all up that I probably should make a cover for it. So that's what I'm going to do today. Uh, I've taken allergy pills, but there's no guarantee that they're even going to work. Because, of course, um, it's just my whole head is messed up as usual. But that's okay. Hello, Susan. Hello, Gladys. How are you, ladies? So I've already cut my pieces out. I don't have any stiff stabilizer for the ends to help it stand up, but that's okay if it sags down on top of my stand mixer. I'm okay with that. And I've already cut the shapes for the ends. Let's see if it'll fit in here. So I'm actually 5 inches at the top, and I did a curve with that same tool I used to cut on the Blue Heron's New York Beauty blocks. And then I'm 9 inches here at the bottom. So it's been tapered accordingly. I took the center mark, which is right here, folded it, and I went 2.5 inches on either side since I'm 5 inches wide. This will be on the outside, and this will be on the inside. It's got a bunch of little recipe cards on it. So that's going to be the inside of it with the brown on the outside. I thought I had some fabric and ended up having to go and get more. So this fabric will be the outside of the cover. It's just got all different garden things and produce and anything you'd use in the kitchen on it. And I wanted a darker fabric um, because I didn't want a light fabric on the outside, because you know how kitchens are when you cook, and the heat and the grease and all the stuff that, so this will be the outside. My mixer is 15 inches tall by 15 inches deep, and its widest where the mixing bowl is 9 inches, and at the top it's 5. So that's where I got my measurements. There are a little bit of scribbles on my paper. Let's see if I have my paper over here. So basically that's what I did, is this little bit of scribbling. And then 5.5. I made it too small, but that's okay. Or did I? No, I made it too small. That's all right. I'm fine with it. I'm not I'm not going to worry too much about it. It should be flexible enough to lay on top of the mixer. And I had that paper right over there next to me, and I still cut it at 5 inches, but that's okay. I don't let it worry about me. Hello, Beverly. Thank you, Susan. So, um, what I think I need to do first is cut 2 pieces of this one batting for the ends. So what I'm actually going to do, since I wanted it a little smaller, right, so it's not as long, that way I don't have as much bulk, I'm just going to lay my fabric on this And I'm going to mark around it. And then I'll cut it. But I thought I had this other fabric, but I guess I used it all. At least I think I used it all. Because I couldn't find any more of it. I went through every tote I have. So I'm just going to put my ruler here. And I'm going to mark a line. Make sure it's marking. Nope. How about we use a real pen? Let's see if that'll work instead of that. Let's see if a real ink pen will work. You know, they don't really want to mark on batting. It looks like it is, so it's good. But at least get a little bit of a line. I'll be able to go from there. And I'll bring my other ruler over to do the top portion of it. Because we're going to need to cut this up here. Oh, I'm out of screen. I had to get a different mount to bring this camera down because I felt it was too high last week. And just mark this. And I'll cut both layers of this batting at the same time. And I may cut it a little shy when I cut it. I'll come in. I'm not right-handed, but I'm going to use my right hand for this. There we should have, yeah, there we go. Now we have it marked. I've already pressed and starched and got all the creases out of my fabric. So it should be good to go. And get that other ruler. And of course, this is the roundup tool that I used last week. I used on the top of this. So I'll just lay this here, just like this. We're going to come down just a hair. And I'm just going to go right around it. Now I'll take my ruler and cut this. We're going to come in just a little bit from my mark and cut. I did put Marnae's links in the description, so if anybody wants to go and watch her videos to help support her. Turn this one. And then I'm going to cut a little bit off the bottom as well. That way it lays inside of my fabric. I don't know if we'll get this done today on my live or not, but we'll work on it. I do not have a pattern. I just took measurements from my mixer. I do the same thing when I make sewing machine covers. I don't have a pattern. I just take measurements. So we're going to come up a little bit. Cut this bottom off. It's a little jaggedy cut anyway. Because, I don't know, somebody who shall remain nameless tried to cut too many layers of batting. So there's our piece. Ready for both of the ends. I have two pieces. So that should fit nicely in between. each piece, each section. I may have to go a little shorter. Nope, it'll be fine. About width. This side could use some more off of it, it looks like. Just a little bit. Yeah. That way I have less bulk in my seams. We're going to take a little bit more off of that edge at the bottom. So we're just going to go like that. Take that off. There we go. The only thing I don't like is what it does to my cutting mats, and I usually just take a ruler, rub it back and forth, and it usually pulls everything up out of the cutting mat. Occasionally you'll have some stubborn ones, but most of the time. Now I also heard an eraser will do it, but I don't have any erasers, so it's okay. Now let's see if we can get one in between. That looks a little better. Get it in there centered, it'll be even better. There we go. That's better. Then one of these. Hello, Karen. Now you're probably going to ask why I don't have these face to face. And there's actually a reason. Once I get it together, I'm going to run a binding so I don't have to turn them inside out. So there will be a binding across the bottom, and there will be a binding all around the edge after I put everything together. So what I'm going to do, I need to change my thread because somebody still has blue in it. Hold on. We're going to go with black on the bottom because I don't have any brown wound. Now I need to get some brown thread. I've successfully somehow, there we go, tied a knot around my needle. Thank you, Karen. Now let's get some brown. Where's my brown? My mother has it. That's where my brown's at. That's all right. I got it. All right, let's get this machine threaded. I'm going to try to not knock over the little tripod next to me. Everything I tried, I could not get that camera on a on the one camera stand I have and successfully show the sewing machine. So it's back on the tripod for now. Let's switch cameras. And it's successfully not working right now. All right, hold on. Let me fix it. There we go. I don't know why it does that. It just does. So I'm just going to do some light quilting on this. Probably nothing fancy. Just run a few stitches around it. Just enough to hold it. I'm at a 2.5 stitch. Might want to increase it. I don't know. We'll see. And lighten my foot up. A little hard on it. Probably should have put my walking foot. But we all know how much of a pain that is, right? Get that walking foot on. Let's see if I like that. Nah, I'm going to increase the stitch length to 3.5 for quilting. That should be enough. If not, I'll go up more. And what should I have done? I should have came back and went the other direction. So we'll do that on the next row. I'm not doing any measurements. I'm just guessing on this. And if my hand's in the way, it's because I'm trying to pull on the fabric to the right and left a little bit to eliminate some of the puckers. I'm going to go back the other way. I'm a little wide, but that's okay. Hello, Kathy. How are you? Karen, I don't know how you lost your moderator status last week, but I'm like, why isn't she blue? I guess YouTube was playing games, so I fixed that. All right. Do I want to go side to side? Or do I just want to keep the straight lines? Could go like this. I think we'll just keep it as it is. And I don't care that there's black on the back because that's going to be on the inside all of the time anyway. So let's get my threads cut. That one's already cut. It didn't do too bad for not having my foot on. That one's already cut. No wonder I couldn't find them. Well, there's one end. Let's get the other end. Get the batting on it. So this is actually the same way I made all my bags. I made bags for traveling because I like to take road trips, and I didn't at the time didn't have any suitcases or anything, so I made a set of bags. And I sewed them like this, and then I ran and I bound all the edges, and I like the look, so that's what I'm going to do with this. Awesome. That's going to be a job. Did you are you going to make it as big as all the rest, or did you make it smaller? And me, I'm still dealing with allergies. You know, nothing new. It's all the same as always. If I get my mouse closer to me. Uh, yeah, you probably could reverse it, Karen, but I really don't want. Um, I'm too low. I really don't want this light color in the kitchen that I have on here. This light color here. I really don't want that light color in the kitchen because I don't want grease and all that on it, and then not be able to get it clean. And that's why I went with the dark fabric, just to keep the if it splatters on it, because it's pretty close to the stove, the stand mixer is. So if any splatters on it, it's not really going to be as noticeable on this dark as it would on the light colored fabric. And is that focused or not? Let's see. Looks kind of out of focus. Now I can't tell. It looks all right. My TV's so much slower than my laptop in front of me. So I'm just going to do the same thing. I'm not going to count either how many I have. Awesome. That's awesome. I don't even know how many did I have on that. Until it looked good, I guess. This is basically how I quilt, guys. I I normally don't have a plan. I decide I want to make something, and then I just make it. Like the blue heron quilt. I knew I wanted the blue heron in the middle of the quilt, but that's about as far as I got with what I wanted with it. I also, the same thing I did when I made my lunch boxes. I needed a lunch box, so I just figured it out how to make it. If any of you would like to see the lunch box, I could probably get it out and show it to you. It's a smaller version than my original. My daughter's got my original. And trim all these threads. I was thinking about my air fryer and whether or not it needed one, but I think I'm just going to move it from its location, put it somewhere else, store it until I use it, because we don't use it very often, not like I use my stand mixer. Okay, there's that one. So we both have both ends finished. I'm probably going to pin the rest of it wide, and that's going to come from this corner here, go all the way around and back down the side, and that will cover the majority. So these two pieces here will be at each end of the mixer. That should be wide enough. I measured it, so hopefully I don't shrink it too much. I can always squeeze it on like a glove, right? So this one, let's see what camera. Hold on, ladies. I don't know. Yeah, you're not going to be able to. Well, maybe. You'll be able to see some of it. So again, my backing fabric and my top. So we're just going to. Now I creased the center of these. And the reason I'm not taking that crease out, I am going to take this piece here. Oh, that camera's not working either. Well, hold on a minute. They're just being brats. There we go. So the reason I didn't take this crease out, I don't know if you can, let's see if I remember to cut this batting right, or if I'm going to have to trim some off of it. I think I cut it right. We'll see. Actually, no, I did not. So I'm going to go over here to the cutting mat real quick. And I'm going to cut some off the edge of it. Get it all lined up, because I want it smaller than those pieces, right? So I'm going to cut a 1/2 inch off the side there. All right, here we go. Now we can line this up. So it's inside the backing. Guess I could use some spray adhesive, but I really don't feel like smelling it right now. So we're going to skip the spray adhesive and we're just going to pin it. And then we'll put this on. And I chose this fabric because it is not directional. Everything goes in so many different... And let's line up my center marks. And there's that one. There's that one. And that way when it lays on the mixer, it's not going to matter. But I had to scrub my mixer before I used it to make some homemade noodles the other day. Because of all the kitchen grease, right? And dust and okay, so we are going to make a cover for that. And then I'm just gonna pin it randomly. Now normally I would use safety pins, but I'm just going to use these straight pins because it's such a small project. And I can take them out as I get to them. And if I run them sideways, hopefully I won't stick myself. Hopefully. I can't see chat right at the moment. Everybody's so quiet. Does anybody have any questions? No questions? Okay. I get this pinned up. Yeah, I had pulled every single tote out. Let me show you what fabric I was looking for. I thought I had more of, which obviously I don't. I was hoping that I had more of this fabric. And what I did with this fabric was I made a box and it holds my blades for my food processor. But I couldn't find it. I guess maybe it's all the fabric I had. I don't know. No, I have not finished my heron project. It's in the thought process stage. What do I want to do with it? It's still hanging over here. What's the next step? I'm still stuck. Do I want to put that strip between the heron and the New York beauties? And what do I want to do as I go around it? And it takes me forever during my thought process. And I thought about that, when I was going to schedule live. Well, I can't do the blue heron because I don't know where I'm going with it from here, right? And for that box for the blades for my food processor, I got tired of stacking those blades in the processor to store it. And I could only I could only do it a certain way, and something always had to be out of it. And the box it came with, it was so flimsy. And I had some boxes in the other room, and I cut one box up using those blades as a guide and measured it and glued it and got it together and then wrapped it with the fabric. But I do a lot of that. I don't know how many over here that I've made. Along with those rope bowls. So every chance I get, if I need a box or something, I save it. This right here is the lunch box that I made. Let's get the right camera up. I don't know how well you're going to see it. So it's got a little handmade tag on it. And I got those on clearance. And then it's got a closure snap and a place for a bottle to hold a bottle that I have for water. It has a padded strap. Two different colors. There is a pocket on this side. There's a pocket on this side under the flap. There's Velcro all the way around the top to keep it closed. And then there's pockets on the inside. And the pockets on the inside were made basically to hold your ice packs. So you can put your ice packs all the way around whatever you put inside of it. And it stands... This one stands 11 inches tall. My daughter needed a bag, so I gave her my first one, which was bigger than this one. And I decided to make myself a smaller one. But she puts her insulin in hers. So, and I also have, on hers, I had like a pull string in it to pull around it. And then there's also a pocket here on the back. Made the first one, gave it to my daughter, and then I made myself a smaller one. And that's the same way I did all my bags for day trips or weekend trips. All right, let's get back to pinning. Since I have this side done, well, I got one more here. So I'll get this side, this pinned, and then I can turn it and not worry too much about losing its position. But I had looked for that one fabric that's on that box I made, and I thought there was more of it than what evidently I actually had, because I couldn't find it anywhere. So I had to make a trip into town to get fabric for this cover, because I had no fabric for the kitchen. Zero. And I didn't want any of the fabric that I already had. Let's straighten out my batting. A little wonky on me here. It's all right. Get this flip back over and get it pinned. Now I'm going to try and remember to pin them all in the same direction, even though I've turned it around, which might be challenging, but that's okay. Because, you know, everybody's used to pinning from one direction normally. Only need a couple more anyhow. And then we'll run some straight line stitching on this, just like we did I must have a mouse in my pocket, just like I did on the ends. So if any of you are thinking of covers for your mixers or sewing machines, this is a good way to do it. You could even make a cover for, if you have a scan and cut, you could make a cover for it. I'm just going to go one more across the bottom here. It should be plenty. Now, actually, I could have and I thought about it, and it's a possibility still because it's not finished, right? So what I thought about was taking this. Hold on. Together. So see if I have some scrap here, which of course I do. So basically what I would do, I'm trying very, very carefully not to hit my other tripod. So what I would do would be to lay the rope in here, put it in here, sew a stitch right along the edge, and then once I put it together, it would be like this, which I may still do. I'll just have to cut some strips of fabric like this on the outside, which I may still do. What do we think? Anybody? Then if I sew it together, I can make sure that this edge goes on the inside, and then hello, Linda. I'm still going here. If I did it this way, then I would sew them together, right sides together, okay? And then on the inside, I could serge it or something on the inside with the serger. And the more I see that wrapped around it, the more I kind of like it. What do you guys think? So if let's scoot this down. I forget what they call that. So if I make it like this, what do they call that? Sew along the edge there, and then have that on the outside. It's kind of, I'm kind of loving it. So what I need to do, of course I'll use these scraps up, and we're just going to guesstimate here. I've got plenty of rope, I'm sure. I think that's probably going to be enough because I just need to get it caught in the seam when I sew them together. This is how my piping, thank you, Linda. This is how my brain works, right? So if I'm doing something, so if I take 1 inch that I have here, make these into 1 inch strips, sew them together, and then I'm going to need my zipper foot. It's been a while since I made some. Let's make this first. What do you think, ladies? Let's make this before we quilt the top. I'm going to come over here. So I'll be in the distance on the little camera. So I don't have one that's over here on my cutting mat. Maybe that's what I should do, is move that one to my cutting mat. I don't know. All right, 1-inch strips. Or should I go 1 1/4 just to be safe? Get my straight edge lined up here. I'm thinking maybe 1 1/4 inches. Yeah, I couldn't think of the word, Linda. I kept thinking, I know what this word is. I know what this word is. All right, let's go 1 1/4 inches. And it's not going to hurt anything if I have a little extra. And then when I get done putting it all together, I can run it through the serge machine. So let's do the first strip. And make sure that's going to be enough. So this piece is cut in 1 1/4 inches. Should be enough. Another tip on your rope when you cut it, if it's not cotton, burn the end of it. That'll be tight, honestly. That's going to be tight. Not impossible, but tight. Let's see. My zipper foot's still out. I'm going to try not to knock around these cameras. I have a little thing. And since I'm looking for my zipper foot, I have this little thing that is supposed to hold all of my feet. How about, since I'm looking, if I pick up these 3 feet that are laying here, and I put them in the little thing where they're supposed to be. And then, I'll know where they are. All right. There's my feet as I throw them on the floor. Hello, Nancy. How are you? We'll get in here. Yeah, it doesn't look like my zipper foot's in there. Hold on. Where are you at? I don't know if it's in here or not. There we go. Right there. And you know what? These feet probably should get out of my toolbox and in where they belong as well. It's a couching foot. Oh, there's my open tote metal one. See? I'm a mess. I just have stuff everywhere where it shouldn't be. And Deborah Clutter made those needle holders, and I absolutely love those. I may have to ask her how much she wants for one, because this is how mine currently sit. And I loved her little needle holder. All right. There's those feet. Let's put those where they belong. How much you want to bet? Anybody want to make a bet? Do you think there's any feet in here? I'm going to say probably so. So since we are in here, Looky there. There's one. There's a quick release. There's some more feet. That box can go in there, actually. That I don't think will fit in there. And look, more needles. And a plate. I don't think that's for this machine. I think that's for my old Singer. Look, more needles. I need one of those needle keepers. See, Karen knew there was more in there. Alright. So, for the sake of not losing it again, we're going to put this other quick release over here. Do not put away the zipper foot, Peggy, because you're going to need it. There we go. I don't think that'll fit in there. No. So it's going to have to go back in that box. There we go. And in all honesty, there's this lovely old sewing box that I got. So look at all these needles everywhere. That I got from flea market. And you know there are hello, Susan. Don't worry about it, Susan. You're here. That's all that matters. I've got a thing that holds, I don't know how many feet it has in it. It's got a lot of feet in it. But they stay in that one. Because my little holiday tin is not quite big enough to hold all of those. So we have our zipper foot to use. So I can get right next to that. Just like that. And so that should work, shouldn't it? Even though I'm going to have to be really slow with it, I think. All right, let's put this back. And I think we're going to cut another strip of this. Get this selvage cut off of it. Put it in my selvage tote. Let's cut another. I think the 1.25 inches is actually going to work fine. So we'll go 1.25 inches. There we go. And the side of caution, we're going to do 2 more strips. Now there should be plenty that way because it's 36 inches all the way around that curve. 1 strip should do, but we're going to cut 1 strip for each end should do, but we're going to cut extra to be on the safe side. And hopefully I have enough rope. I'm sure I do. If not, I've got more somewhere else. I know I do. Because I used them when I made rope bowls. Cut the selvage off. I'm actually going to press these strips in half so that it'll make it easier to keep it where it needs to be. Oh, no wonder. We may have to revisit this. Nope. It's okay. All right. Looking for puppies is hard. That should be enough. Maybe I should measure it before I go all gung-ho. Move my foot out of the way. Pretty sure there's enough here. There's 45. Enough for one side. And there's enough for two sides. All right. There's plenty. There's still some laying on the floor. I did get me a mat, too, to help me slide on this carpet. All right. I don't think I'm going to need more than this, so I'm just going to take this, maybe, and wrap it around here so it doesn't come unraveled any further than it needs to be. Hopefully. Oh, somebody didn't burn the end on that one. You know, it probably came from the store like that. Let me get my cigarette lighter. Yes, I smoke, but I won't do it on screen, ladies. But it's going to come in handy to light that, right? Keep that from fraying. All right. There we go. Oops, I bumped you. I'm sorry. All right. Let's change our foot out. Looks like my needle will go. Might need to go to the right a little bit. There we go. All right. Now let's get these pressed. I'm just going to fold them in half. And since they are, I think they're 40, 30. Yeah, since they're over 40 inches, I'm not going to sew them together. I'm just going to press them. And then when I need the next section, I'll add it. Get my ruler out of my way so I can press. This should help when I go to put that rope in there, hopefully. And I think that'll look good on the cover. That was quick and painless. Didn't even burn myself. Aren't you proud? I'm going to say I did bump the stove or the oven the other night when I was making pizza. Didn't hurt like it did when I bumped the iron, though. Bumping the iron's a whole other ball game. Let's see if we can get this piping made. I'm so glad you reminded me of the word, Linda. Sometimes words are hard. You know, you forget the words you want to say. And it's hard. It's like they just ran away. All right, we're only going to do 2 of them right now. If I need the third one, then we'll press the third one in half. But I wanted to cut extra just in case. But I already know that 36 inches is what I needed to go up and over. All right, so we'll set that one off the side, out of the way. I am going to lower my stitch length back down to 2.5. Get you guys on the, oops, wrong camera. On the right camera. And I'm going to drop this rope on the floor underneath me. And I'm going to start with the one loose end. And I'm going to stick my rope in, and I'm going to let it stick out a little bit. And this may be a fiddly little process. But let's get the first part of it started so the rest won't be as hard. Lift my foot up. That zipper foot should sit right next to that rope, actually. There we go. Let's put my needle down. Now, I need to scoot over and not knock the camera for a loop. And I'm just going to take my time. Remember, ladies, this is not a race. So if you do this, don't worry about going fast. It's not a race. I'm going to try and get my pieces even. Adjust everything that's laying at my feet here. At least that does not include a 50-pound dog, right? All right. Oh. I'm going to make it needle down. It's really not wanting to stay right up next to that, like I was hoping. So I'm just putting my finger to the left of that rope and holding it up against the zipper foot so that I can get my stitches in it without it coming undone. And my right hand is holding the fabric together. And then I'm pulling back, coming back away from where the needle is, getting the rope into the fabric, grabbing a hold of it with my hand. And then my other hand, my left hand, is going to hold it and try to hold it. It doesn't look bad. Maybe I should move my needle back over. So I'm going to lift up for a minute, move my needle back over so I can get closer to the rope. I thought moving it away would help, but it's not. Try and keep it. There we go. That's better, I think. Let's see. It actually could probably come over a little more. Now I got to fix my rope again. In my fabric. That fold makes it really nice. If any of you do it differently, it would be nice to learn a different way, but this is what I found works for me. Now, when I did the rope bowls, it was different because I did a zigzag over top of the rope, and it was just a whole different process. But to make this piping, this is what I find works for me, is the zipper foot. And you know, piping's expensive, so it's a whole lot cheaper if you go buy you some clothesline rope and make your own with whatever fabric you have. And then it'll match all your projects, right? I'm trying to keep my hand out of the way, but when I'm holding the fabric, it's kind of hard to keep my hand out of the way. And we got to untangle the rope a little. You know, it's a little twisted there. There we go. This should be plenty long enough, though. You guys are so quiet in chat. Get a little bit more sewn. See how it's looking. So we started out with it. It's a little closer now. It's still a little loose, but it'll be fine. I'll show it in the overhead camera in a minute. And this way, this is going to fit the theme on the cover. Now, before I cut my rope, I'm going to hold this around it, around my edges, and make sure, but I'm pretty certain that, don't do it. There we go. Pretty certain that this with the fabric should be long enough. I don't think I'll need it at the bottom. Oh, okay, Karen. I don't think I'll need the piping at the bottom. I think I'll just bind the bottom of it. And then almost to the end of this one section, and then we'll go test it against that end piece we made. That, come on, behave yourself. Sorry if my hand gets in the way. But you know the struggle is real, right? Imagine, I don't know if I could or not. I know I can lift this tripod up, but with my luck, you go from my hand in the way to my head in the way. Not sure this is really a good view either. It actually almost needs to be, don't get sick, ladies. It almost needs to be like right here, doesn't it? Hold on. Don't get sick on me. Let me do something so I can give you girls a better view. See if it'll work. No guarantees, but I'm going to try not to make you sick. See, that's what I was thinking, Karen. But in order to do this, we have to have the camera on the tripod way up high. Hold on. That's just me moving the tripod. I have to move the legs out a little bit. And let's see if we can get you focused. Is that better? I mean, my hands might still get in the way. Is it focused or out of focus? My old eyes, right? I'll wait. Is that focused? Okay. Is that better? Okay. So you can see that I've got my finger right here. I am making sure that my finger stays right here because my needle is right here. So I want to make sure my finger stays to the left of that rope. And then when I sew, I'm kind of holding it up next to this edge of the foot. There's a square edge on this foot. So I'm holding it up next to it. Then I take this hand and I'm adjusting the fabric so that it's covering the rope right. And then just keep my finger there. If I don't move it, I won't get a needle in it. If I just use it kind of as one of those seam guides, right? So now we're at the end of the fabric. And then we have this. Let's go at the overhead. So now we have this. It's not really as tight as probably needed to be, if you can see it. So the rope is here. So it actually could have come in clear to where my fingernail is. Let's see if I can get to my tools. Hold on. So it probably could have come in. It could have come into the point right here. So it probably could have come over another notch or two with the stitch. But I think it'll be fine. It's not going to go anywhere. And you can tell on the first part where I was testing it. Right there. Let's see. I'm going to go back on this first section and try and fix that. Stick it in there. Foot up next to it. Fix that first section where I was testing. Now it's going to be a little easier now since I'm not messing with the fabric. I might even be able to get it in closer. I know it looks like my finger's right there, but I'm not moving my left finger, so let's see what we got. See, I like that better. Not that I have anal issues or anything, ladies. Just doing it now, it's getting it closer without ever moving the needle. And I've got at least 1/4 of an inch between my fingernail and my needle. And I am not moving that hand at all. But you notice how I've kind of got this crooked? I'm trying to help keep it to the right so that when it slides up to the needle, it's where it needs to be, if that makes sense. It's getting it closer. Does that camera need to be brighter? I can let more light in. I think I just messed it up. There we go. All right. But you do whatever works for you when it comes to doing this kind of stuff. but I may have gotten it a little bit closer to the rope, which is a good thing. Yeah, it's a little closer, which will make it tighter, which is fine. My fingernail keeps trying to go underneath it. Under it, over it, same thing. There we go. That got it a little closer. You can tell. There we go. So it got it a little closer. Awesome. All right. Now we're going to measure around this and make sure we have enough, which I'm sure I do. Cut these strings off. If I don't, it'll bother me to no end. So I'm going to a little extra down here on the end, and I'm just going to measure around by laying it on there, coming around the curve. And then coming down this other side, and that gives me this much extra right here. So I'm going to go ahead and cut my rope. I'm going to cut it a little long, and I'm not going to use my good scissors. I'm going to use my paper scissors to cut that, and then I'll burn the ends of it. Once I cut it. So I just hold it like this and cut it. Gonna burn this end and burn this end. Now when I sew them on here, and once I have to cut it again, I'll do the same thing. I'll pull the fabric back a little bit. I'll pull this fabric back a little bit and cut it again. But that's plenty. That's plenty. Any questions yet, ladies? And now we've got one more to do. So even though I cut 3 strips, this strip can always be used for something else. And I think those 2 strips I had a minute ago, I may use those for a handle on the top of the cover. All right, so I'm going to take a quick potty break. Let's see if I got my image. I'm going to take quick. Thank you, Susan. Let me show you the fabric real quick. I need to take a potty break then. So it's actually this fabric. It's some, I didn't have any kitchen fabric, so I got this one has no direction, right? So they go in all different directions. So I thought it'd be perfect for going over the blue heron, our blue heron mixer, my stand mixer. So I need to take a quick potty break, ladies, and I will be right back with you if that's okay with you. I will be right back. Okay. Sorry about that, ladies. I was thinking when I was in the bathroom that instead of using your finger to hold that up against there, everybody has a screwdriver, right? Well, I didn't either, Beverly, and the fabric I thought I had, I guess I used it all when I made that box for my blades for my food processor. And I kind of wanted to match it, but I didn't have any left. So instead of using your fingers, I'm sure everybody has a screwdriver, right? I'm right here and I have two. Take that back. I have three. So everybody's got a screwdriver. You might have a stiletto, right? So any of these can be used in place of your finger next to that rope. When you're sewing, you could use a pair of scissors. You could take your scissors. You could lay it up against the rope, right? Then you can keep your finger away from it. You just hold your scissors. I don't know. Scissors maybe this way. Look, see, I have another screwdriver. That one probably won't work at the Phillips. Um, could use a dowel rod. I have a dowel rod. I don't have fruit fabric either. Yep. Now I gotta adjust that camera because I just hit it. Because it's right there. Well, maybe that'll be all right. And I know a lot of people have rollers to help press your seams when you're doing them. This is a paintbrush handle. I went to Rural King, picked up a cheap little $1 paintbrush, took the paintbrush off, and I thought, well, I'll just fix this end so that I can press seams with it. My mother wanted one. I didn't have to. Look how perfect they made that. I don't know if you can see it. So it's tipped a little bit, right? All I did was run a little bit of sandpaper on that, hand sanded just a little bit, and it works beautifully for folding instead of finger pressing. But Mom's hands were, her fingers were getting sore from finger pressing. So you could use this up next to the rope, right? And then your foot would be here. And you could just hold that in place while you sewed, which I'm probably going to try one of these on this next one. So we'll start with the paintbrush. Excuse me. All right. Now that we know that's enough, we can get this out of the way. We're going to have to check, see where my camera landed because I bumped it. Get my other piece of fabric. Get situated in my chair a little bit. I don't know if I'm out of screen. Might be. There we go. All right. Let's go to the other camera and see what I did to it. Because I bumped it. I guess it looks okay. Let's wait for the TV to catch up so I can see if it's still in focus. Looks pretty good. All right. Here's my fabric that I pressed. I'm going to stick my rope in it like this. Yep. I need to get it to behave here. Come on. There we go. I'm going to stick my rope in it like this. Lay it down. Let's get the thread out of the way. Thank you, Linda. Let's get the thread under the foot. Let's get this first piece in. And again, I've left a little extra. Well, get in there. Get my foot down on it. Needle down. Get this adjusted. And then we're going to try my little paintbrush handle here. I can get my rope to behave and get in the fabric. So I can hold this here, and I'll never risk getting my finger right. Yep. Certainly is. My cameras, I have to activate, deactivate. All right, let's wait for it to come up again. See if it's in focus because I did bump it. Is it out of focus? Well, it seems to look okay. Yeah, I had, okay, go. Okay. So now that I've got this, I don't know why the cameras do that. They freeze up. Is it focused okay? On my laptop, it looks a little out of focus. Okay. So this is my paintbrush. I'm just going to use it, right? So if my needle hits it, guess what's going to happen? Broken needle. That's going to be a little sloppy on that edge. Hold on. Not liking that. I can always come back and fix it, right? Wonder if it'd be easier to put clips on this. You guys are learning with me. How about that? We're going to put a couple clips and see how that works. See if it wouldn't help hold that fabric tight on that. I don't know why I'm having trouble with this one. Why not? Right? Why not have trouble? Sure. There we go. I've got plenty of clips. It's all right. I'm going to put it next to that rope. Hold that. Probably should have done this to begin with, actually. And then I wouldn't have been fiddling with it, right? So I also use, and I'll tell you. So this was Flower Meadow, right? There was a candle in here at one time. It's no longer a candle. It's a clip holder. I got to scoot my chair back so I can clip all this. Just go ahead and clip it all. It's not like it's an entire quilt clip. It's just like 42 inches. It'll be fine. And I'm putting the clips kind of close together, which I think is going to help keep that. I'm going slow anyway, so it's not going to matter how long it takes to take the clips off, right? But I like to reuse things. So this once candle holder with this cute little lid, instead of throwing it out, I cleaned all the wax out of it and it became a clip holder. I have a mason jar over here that's holding my larger clips because this clip container is full. Get up here. I think I'm going to go ahead and cut this rope too. That way I'm not dragging that whole entire bundle of rope up as I sew, since I only pulled out enough for it, these two pieces. Just a few more inches left. The weather said we were in a chance for some rain here, but it might not. And I'm like, I can predict the weather like that. There's a chance for rain, but it might not rain. And okay, it's so funny. Yeah, I don't know how many of those candle jars I have because I used to scrapbook a lot. And that's where they started, holding all the little flowers and thingamabobs that go with scrapbooking, right? Then I got into, I'd really prefer to do digital scrapbooking. It's less messy. And once I put it together, I can take it back apart and not hurt anything. So I've got a lot of digital scrapbook pages. I've actually printed out and put in a regular binder from when my kids were little. And I've got another project sitting over here on my shelf next to my sewing machine, but I haven't finished it yet. I started with one, and then the measurements didn't work for the thread I had, and I just thought it was the cutest idea ever. And I'm trying to remember who I got the idea from. Somebody I subscribed to, I'm sure. But I thought that was so clever. One more clip. That's a lot of clips, but it'll be all right. If you actually clip it and not throw a clip across the floor, that is. There we go. So let's pick the rope up. I'm gonna go ahead and get my paper scissors. Cut my rope and get my lighter to burn my rope. There's that one, and there's that one. There we go. Remember to be careful with your burnt ends of rope, because they are actually pretty hot when you burn them off like that. Put this away. Back where it was. I don't need any more of it. All right. Shall we sew now? All right, here we go. The only problem I'm having is that I can't scoot over. Maybe that'll work. Scoot my foot pedal over. The clips are trying to get hung up on my leg. So I'm going to scoot my leg over in my chair. I can't go too far because my camera's in the way. See if that helps. All right. Got a little fraying going on there. Oh, I should have had a clip right there. Let's get that. A little bit too far away. All right. Trying to keep the fabric up close to the rope. I wonder, I don't know if I make that other tripod extend over to here or not. Well, it's not a tripod. It's a camera mount. I can't put it on my machine's table or it'll vibrate. I tried to put it on the thread stand I made, but that mount wasn't having it. I really don't like the other mount I have. Because it doesn't have much flexibility. I'll never buy another one like it. I was actually debating whether I even wanted to come on tonight or not. My mother talked me into coming back on tonight. My mother and my daughter are the ones that talked me into doing YouTube to begin with. And it took them 2 years. And I don't know. I mean, yes, it gives me something to do, but at the same time, even though I like watching and visiting with other people on YouTube. Thank you, Karen. Well, that's what Mom said. If 2 people are watching, then you do it for the 2 people. And it's not that I don't care how many people watch. It's and I'm not about how many subscribers I have, because I really don't care. I've also got mine set to where there's no ads. Okay, I don't like this wrinkle. Even though I know this is probably going to end up extra, I'm going to fix that and then put my foot back down. Where's my stiletto? And I'm going to hold it with my stiletto here. So it's because it's rolled up off. That's why. We'll just make sure we don't put this piece in the, because it's almost out of the rope. Yeah, it is out of the rope. I just, if someone you can see what happened here. So since I have extra, I'm not worried about it. That'll be the extra. But I guess as long as I have a couple people watching, it really kind of wasn't my thing, but I enjoy sharing what I know with people who want to know. I'm not saying this is the correct way to do things. I'm just saying this is how I do it. And you do what works for you. Sorry if I moved the camera. I was trying to get to all my stuff. All right. So we take the foot off. Put my other foot back on. I don't, I understand that people are trying to make tutorials and this is how you should do it, but that's not what I'm doing. This is a tutorial on how I'm doing it. Yeah. Well, that's what Mom said. People like watching you, then go on for them. And I'm like, yeah, okay, I understand that. So, what I think, I'm going to go ahead. Let me change cameras again. I really wish I could just say a word and it would do it automatically, right? Say, hey, go to the overhead camera. And it'd be magic. So what I think I'm going to do, where's the end that messed up? Right there. I'm thinking I should probably, let's get right here. Make sure I have enough. I should have, because I had plenty extra. I don't know why it did that. I had it clipped. Oh, I've got plenty, so I can go down even further. Awesome. Or maybe I'll just start with the other side. How's that? There we go. I think I'm going to go ahead and sew this on here, right? So that when I put the pieces together, I'm not fighting to hold this in place. So if I go ahead and sew this on, should I have kept my zipper foot on? Let me see. I should be good. All right. I'm going to go ahead and sew this onto here. And that way I'm not struggling with it, with this and this other piece when I go to put them together. So I think that's what I'll do. I'll go ahead and sew this onto my end pieces. And that way, let's get my clips again. That way I don't have to worry about it, right? So I'm going to clip this, come down just a hair. I'm just going to go ahead and clip it on. And I might even do a regular 1/4 inch. I was thinking maybe a generous quarter, but I think I'll be fine with a 1/4 inch. That way when I put these end pieces onto the piece that goes up and over the machine, the mixer, I won't have to be fiddling with this, right? So I'm just going to use my clips. I like clips better than pins, even though I use pins, simply because I don't like to get poked. And I find I poke myself a lot. So, and I'm just going to ease that rope around the corner. And extra pins, it doesn't matter how many I put on. I've got plenty. If I run out, I'll go use some of Mom's. No big deal. So we'll clip that as we go around. Actually, I probably should have. All right. I know a lot of people snip corners, right? Snip as they go around curves and stuff to help it ease. I prefer to use pinking shears. So we're going to pull this off real quick. And to help even on this corner that I've already sewn, actually, of this edge, I'm going to do a little pinked edge on it. And it'll help when I go to put it together. Get that out of the way. And since I'm right here, I'm just going to pink it just a little bit. Probably more than I need to. And then I won't have to snip anything, right? Because that's going to allow all that fabric to go around that corner. Let's do this edge. Just a little bit. There we go. And when I get to that edge on the rope, I'll do that rope as well. So let's get our clips back on. And this is going to help it ease around that corner. Probably, I think it'll be fine right there. And I do this when I turn anything. I pink it instead of snip, snip, snick. Awesome. I just think it's easier than trying to snip every, up to your threads. If you just use pinking shears around the corner, works beautiful every single time, in my opinion. I mean, that's what works for me. If you want to snip up to your threads, you go ahead. You do what works for you. But what works for me is using pinking shears. I actually had to buy new pinking shears because these pinking shears, I need to find somebody to sharpen them. These, I'm sure we've all seen these. These are old, 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 old. They're very heavy, but they are also very dull. Now, I heard you can cut steel wool with them and it'll sharpen it, but I haven't tried it. I have to get some steel wool and see. But they say cutting steel wool with it will sharpen them. We'll see. I could put them in. I've got some sand out in the garage, and try and stick it down in the bucket or something and cut it like this and see if that helps. I don't know. But these are, I don't know how old they are. They're really old, but they don't cut. I've tried, so I had to get a new pair. And it was just recently I heard that cutting steel wool will sharpen them. I did not know that. All right, I got to flip it over because my clips are in the way. And let's just do a trim on them. And I know a lot of people complain about pinked edges on their blocks. Well, personally, the pinked edges keep it from fraying. So I don't mind. I don't buy fabric normally in bundles, right? So I don't buy the charm packs or any of that. And I don't buy strips as a rule. Occasionally I might buy a few to finish with a project. Like today's project, I actually, because my thought process wasn't finished right, I bought these 2 fat quarters. And I know a lot of fat quarters are pinked, have pinked edges, or those 10-inch squares or whatever. I'll think about Lori's then for sharpening. I know he works on machines. He's never worked on a old machine. He was trained on the newer computerized machines, because I took my little featherweight in there and he didn't have a clue. Well, actually, I fixed the issue myself. It was making a lot of noise, and the problem was, before I got it, it hadn't been greased right. So, I cut that one a little close, but it'll be all right. I'll just make sure I catch it when I sew it. So I cleaned, there were metal shavings in there, so I cleaned the metal shavings out and got some grease, and it's fine now. Nothing wrong with it. But I didn't think about taking my scissors there to be sharpened. I heard aluminum foil too, but then I also heard someone say that the aluminum foil really didn't work, but the steel wool did. And I know that I've got a pin cushion or two that has steel wool in it. I actually put sand in mine when I make them. I don't use those walnuts. I use sand. Because I know for a fact that you can take a pocket knife out onto a concrete step and you can sharpen it. Because I've done it. So, because I couldn't find my sharpening stone. So I took it out to the concrete step and sharpened my knife. Just the concrete step and a little bit of oil. Well, that's close, Peggy Lynn. That's only because you're not pulling it. Let's fix that. Fabric, my back fabric wasn't as far as it needed to be. Pull it towards me a little bit. So there you can see how much I have left. I think I'm going to leave it hang on there right now. Thank you, Linda. It's kind of coming out of my head, all right? So I kind of think as I go, I was just going to sew these together and bind them, right? Well, I've changed my mind. I wanted that pipe. Oh, piping? Is that piping? No, it's Linda. I've forgotten the word again. Words are hard. Words are really hard. So I'm just going to take and stitch this onto here. Right as it lays. That way, when I put everything together, piping, yes, thank you. Words are so hard. Just like I wasn't sure if I wanted to do piping, and it just kind of popped into my head. So why not do it? Why not? Why not do it while I'm on a live? And maybe it'll help somebody, or maybe they can just see the chaos that runs through my head, right? I got to keep my mouse close so I can change my cameras. Like I said, is my mouse even working? Seriously. Okay. Get off the autofocus camera. There we go. Go back over here. And I'm at 3. Let's see where that's going to land on here. Now we're going to take this clip off. Get over here, Jar. And I'm just going to put my foot down. And I have to adjust. Now, I kind of want to come over closer, right? I'm going to move my needle over. I hope you can see it. I moved it over 3 notches. Let's see where it lands. So it landed, and it left me enough. I think I might be able to go one more. Let's see. That's probably the max. I'm clear over on 1, but that's getting me closer to the rope, right? Let's see about sewing this, if I can find my foot pedal. And again, I'm not in no hurry. It's just one thing. Don't rush. Sometimes my mom says I sew fast. Well, that depends on what I'm sewing. If I'm sewing a straight line, I can speed up, right? And things like this, I don't like to go fast. I like to take my time. Same thing with that blue heron. I like to take my time and try not to make mistakes. And I make a lot of mistakes, let me tell you. It's like when I just did this, I don't know if I'm going to have enough to sew it down because I trimmed it with my pinking shears a little too much. Might help if my jar wasn't sitting on there. There we go. So we're going to try to catch that. And if I have to, you can always do a zigzag stitch here too. You could zigzag back and forth and then make sure you catch more of the fabric. I just wanted to hold it in place so that when I sew my pieces together, I'm not fighting with this piping, right? All right. I'm going to lift my foot so I can push that over a little bit. I'm going to have to get real close right here because I don't know if you can tell, but I got too close when I trimmed here. It's okay for a curve, but I need to sew this down. So we're going to do our best, actually, to keep it over here without actually sewing the rope, which I might be doing right now, but that's okay. All right. My keyboard's in the way. I lifted my foot with my needle down to turn it a little bit. You know, there are several times that I have lifted my foot when I'm doing a thick project, right? And then think, well, I put my foot back down. When in reality, I did not put my foot back down. And what do you think happens on this old Singer sewing machine when you don't put your foot down? It'll sew. Now, that old brother I had wouldn't sew if the foot wasn't down. This one will sew. And it makes the prettiest bird's nest all over the back side of the fabric, but it'll still sew. And if you're into bird's nest, that's fine. Yeah. All right, let's get this one. We're going to turn a little bit. I'll leave that up for a second. And get that over there a little bit. Or I drop my foot back down. A little close on the edge here too. And I think I've sewn some of the rope, but that's okay. It's just going to go to cover my stand mixer. And I'm okay if it's flawed. Because I personally feel like I'm beautifully flawed. I think after I sew this on, how long have we been on? We've been on over 2 hours. It might be time to call tonight. I can wait and finish it until next week if you ladies would like. Thank you, Karen. Would you like me to wait until next week to finish it? So I think after I get this sewed on, I'm going to stop because it's over 2 hours already. But at least this will be sewn in place, and I won't have to fight it when I put it all together, right? And it's all about not fighting. I think I'll finish it next week. I'm not in that big a hurry. The stand mixer's been there for a couple of years. Mom got it for me for Christmas one year. It's been there without a cover. I just thought the other day when I went to use it and I went to clean it and it had dust and cooking grease on it, I thought I should probably cover it, right? But it took me forever, and I got it all clean. And homemade noodles, homemade beef and noodles came out of that. Oh, no. Who just lost it? Bobbin chicken. I just lost. I ran out at the top. Didn't even notice it. I think on that note, because I don't think y'all really want to hear me wind a bobbin, because I don't have another dark bobbin, I'm probably going to call it a night. No. I lost it. So, well, whatever. I got halfway through. I was hoping I'd have enough on that bobbin, but okay. Let's switch cameras. Then you can see where I lost. Right there. sewed all the way around that and back down. It's okay. I'll sew it back on. But we'll do that next week. I'll wind bobbins too. I guess it's good practice going around that corner. That's right. We'll lay it off to the side and we'll finish it next week. I won't touch it until then. And we'll continue this project next week. How's that sound? Yep. So I think that's going to be it, ladies. I did lose a bobbin chicken. I'm usually pretty good because I'm usually looking at it, but it was only half a bobbin when I put it in there. I can't believe we used that much already. Well, we did quilt. We did quilt this. We did sew the piping, right? And twice on that first one. So, yeah. I need to get it up off the floor or my dog will think it's her piece of rope to play with. Yep. Me, zero, and Bob and one. Okay, that's all. Thank all of you beautiful ladies for coming. I really appreciate your company. And I will schedule this for next week to work on this again. Love y'all.